All right, this is the lesson for Go Math 2.2 over decimal place value. We've already talked about decimal place values. This is a review, so this shouldn't be too horrible for you. If you remember, just a quick review, that the decimal point separates the wholes from the pieces of wholes, and we always read the decimal as the word and over here to the left of the decimal are our whole numbers. And then to the right of the decimal is our actual decimal numbers, which in fourth grade we look at tenths and we look at 100ths. This, of course, would be 1 whole, 10 wholes, and 100 wholes as far as place value goes. So, for example, if I write the number 23 and 42 hundredths, and I ask you what the value of each of these digits are, the value of this digit right here would be worth 20 wholes. The value of this digit right here, 3, would be worth 3 wholes. The value of this 4 right here is 4 in the tenths place, so he is worth 4 in the tenths place. And then the final 2 over here is the second place behind the decimal. Second place, 2 places past, 2 zeros, is 0.02 for 200ths. So that's a broken up, expanded form as far as place values goes with those. Now in your book, they have questions like this. And it's talking about the value of these underlined digits. So right now I am on page 38. And if you have your packet right now, you'll have this. It's the very first one. This is page 38. And it's talking about what's the value of this underlined digit. So I'm going to write me a little bitty review right here. This is the tenths. This is the 100ths. So this 1 is 1 place behind the decimal. So he is worth, and there's a lot of ways to do this, by the way. You could do this in words. You could write it's worth 1/10. You could do it as a decimal and just write 0.1, or you could even do it as a fraction. If you can say it, you can write it. So 1/10 is a fraction, 1/10. All 3 of those answers are exactly the same. So as long as you have one of those, you're good. Right here, number 3, this would be 9 in the hundredths. So you could do 9 over 100 as a fraction if you like it that way. You could do it as a decimal as 0.09. Or in words, because if you say it, you can write it. This would be 9 hundredths. And remember that the THS is always on there for these. Okay, so that's locating the place value. Skipping ahead to page 39, let me show you these real fast. This is page 39. When they expand these together like this, all right, when they expand these together and they kind of break them apart and they're wanting to know what the sum is, remember that if a number does not have a decimal, there's a decimal at the very end, kind of like an invisible period on a sentence. So this would be the number 10, the number 6. This one does have a decimal. These two do, so that one's already there. So 0.7 and 0.02. And if you line those up, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers. That would be 10, 6, 0.7, and 0.02. And they literally just kind of fall straight down. So you would end up with 16.72 for that one. And you can tell because it's got 10 with 6 is 16. And this would be 7 tenths, which is the same as 70, with 2 more is 72. So 16 and 72 hundredths. A couple more, because once again, this is our view. I'm on page 40 now. Let me zoom out. I'm on page 40 at the very top. We'll do a couple of these. Number 16 on top of page 40. An adult kangaroo jumps 7 and 6/10 meters in a single leap, what is 7 and 6/10 written in word form? Well, I literally just read that. 7 and 6 in the tenths. So 7 and, good. 7 and, good. 7 and, good. 70, and there's no and, so we're always looking for things that are wrong. 7 and 1/6. 7 and 6/10. 7 and 6/100. So 7 and 6/100 looks like this. 7 and 6/10 looks like this. And 7 and 1/6 would look like this. So our winner is definitely B right here. Okay. 18. Still on page 40, number 18. A runner finished a race in 9.84 seconds. What's the value of the 4? So 9.84, just remember your place value. This is the ones. This is and, so our separator. 8 in the tenths, so that's your tenths place. And this is your hundredths place. And it's talking about the 4, which means it's talking about this one. So that is 4 in the hundredths place. So 4 in the hundredths place. Okay, and on to the yellow page. Now yours won't be yellow, it's black and white, but we're doing the best we can. This is page 41. And I'll just pick a random one here. I'm going to do one of these on the top. It says write it in 2 other forms. So remember the 3 forms. We have decimal form, fraction form, and word form. So if they've already given you one of those forms, then you can't do that form. You got to do the other 2. So for instance, this one's in decimal form. This one's in word form. This one's also in decimal form, but it's kind of an expanded as well. So we'll do 2 different ones with that one. And then this one is also in decimal form. So I'm going to put this one in, we'll do word form, and we'll do fraction form. So first thing I need to do is get this actual number together. So this is 80 with 7. So 87, and then starts my decimals. So separator with 9 and 3. So that's 90 with 3. Okay, so I have my decimal form now. So technically that would be one form. I'm going to go ahead and do all 3. Fraction form would be 87 and 93 hundredths. So 93 hundredths. Remember, those are the same thing. And word form would look like this. 87 and, oops, forgot my D, 93 hundredths. That was a big one. Okay, so 3 forms: decimal form, fraction form, word form. You only have to do 2. Fraction and decimal is going to be your 2 easiest ones, but that's why they gave you 2 lines here so that you can write the word form of this. And we'll do one on the back just to be our, do one more practice. We'll try one of the multi-step ones down here. We'll try number 18. This is the page 42. What is the value of the digit to the right of the underlined digit in this? What is the value of the digit to the right of the underlined? I don't really see how that's multi-step, but that's okay. So it's talking about the value of the digit to the right, which would be talking about the 6. So once again, tenths, hundredths. So since we're looking to the right of the 5, we're looking at the 6, which is in here, the second place. So that will be 6 hundredths. So overall, pretty easy assignment. Nothing horrible. You can handle that. Since this one is pretty easy on your checklist, as long as you knock out your page 41, 42, you're probably good. Some more practice would be page 40 and probably page 39. The first 2 pages are going to be just kind of how to do it with pages and stuff, but you're farther than this already, so you won't even really need to mess with this very much. Anyways, that's the end of lesson 1, our first lesson, which is 2.2 Go Math, and that would be decimal place value.